Alright, Lagos, good morning, welcome. This is Overt Radio. We are broadcasting to you live from the city of Lagos. Lagos is a center of excellence, the city that never sleeps. Okay, this is the Thursday edition of Overt Radio Breakfast Show. My name is Kenneth. We are broadcasting to you live, like I said it before, from the city of Lagos. And it is 8 minutes gone past the hour of 8 o'clock. A huge apologies here for starting a little bit behind schedule. The place I saved most of my stories on, I discovered that it didn't save it, so I had to start going back and start retrieving those stories. All right, like we do every day here in the studio from Monday to Friday between the hours of 8 and 10 a.m. in the morning. I give you some of the stories making headlines on the front page of Nigeria's newspaper, the online version, where I do some analysis concerning the story, and also we talk about issues going on in the country's political corridors. Okay. So feel free to engage with our content on our various social media platforms on X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. On YouTube, we are currently streaming on YouTube. That is Overt Radio Live. That's where we are streaming from YouTube. We are also on Instagram, Overt News. We are on TikTok, overt.radio.lagos. So that is where we are currently streaming from this morning. YouTube, Overt Radio Live. Yes, this is the Breakfast Show. The Breakfast Show is being sponsored by Life Back Pharmacy and Stores Limited, Market House of Ogama QS Soft Gel, and anti-malaria and Swedish bitters, all right here in the country. Yes. Today's headline is packed with stories, with controversial stories, and that is what I like to do. I like to talk about controversial stories. I like to talk about stories that are controversial, so that our listeners will have the opportunity to understand the controversial stories more very well, so as not to make things difficult for them. Okay, now on the Sun newspaper online, the very first story that I'll be taking this morning is subsidy. Presidency accuses Atiku of policy somersaults, demands cost funding details. Presidency accuses Atiku of policy somersaults, demands cost and funding details. The presidency has accused former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of repeatedly shifting his position on petrol subsidy, describing his latest intervention as a third policy change within 1 week. Okay, sorry about that. Within 1 week, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement on Wednesday said the conflicting positions from Atiku and his aides had raised questions about whether the former president had a coherent economic plan or was merely exploiting Nigerians' concerns over the rising cost of living. The presidency consequently challenged Atiku to explain the cost of his proposed subsidy, its beneficiaries, how it would be funded, and the conditions under which it would eventually be terminated. The controversy followed a series of statements from Atiku's camp over his proposal to restore petrol subsidy. Atiku's spokesperson Paul Ibe had initially said the former vice president would restore the subsidy if elected president and subsequently phase it out, describing the measure as a temporary intervention to help Nigerians and businesses recover from economic hardship. Another senior aide, Frank Shaibu, however, dismissed the statement as an unauthorized and misleading characterization of Atiku's position. Shaibu said Atiku would not set a fixed date for ending the subsidy, insisting that it would remain until domestic refining expanded, supply stabilized, competition deepened and market forces could deliver affordable petrol prices without government support. Atiku subsequently intervened, insisting that his position has not changed and reaffirming his plan to restore what he described as a targeted subsidy. Atiku said, and I quote, I will restore targeted subsidy and put purchasing power back in the hands of Nigerians. But Onanuga said the differing explanations amounted to more than a disagreement over wording. This is not merely a matter of semantics. It is a serious policy contradiction and confusion. Nigerians deserve clarity, not policy by trial and error. The presidential aide also faulted Atiku's argument that subsidy and increased competition would automatically reduce petrol prices, saying pump prices were influenced by international crude oil prices, exchange rates, refining costs, and transportation distribution and other market factors. Competition can improve efficiency and margins, but it cannot magically insulate Nigeria from global oil prices or other input costs. Right, this is coming from the presidency by Onanuga. All right, so the president has, called on the presidency rather. The Tinubu's media aides, the presidency has did accuse Atiku Abubakar of policy somersaults, demands, cost and funding details. Also, why do you want Atiku to review demand, cost and funding details? What do you want to do with it? Focus on. This is what I have to say. I want to urge the presidency, to focus on what is their main aim as media aides. Whether Atiku did not get his economic figures right, whether he says that he will remove subsidy if he's elected, or he will sustain subsidy if he's elected, and whether he is not well articulated, his figures were not well articulated, that is not your problem, for God's sake. All right, that is not your problem. You are in the administration. Focus on what you are doing. Let your result speak for the people of Nigeria. All right, okay. The presidency should focus on what they are doing. Let the administration, let the policy reform, the economic reform of Bola Ahmed Tinubu speak for itself, and let the people decide whether or not they will vote for him or not in 2027. Attacking Atiku every time is because this man is in the opposition. He's doing his job as an opposition figure in the country. All right. Sometimes you don't even have to respond to some of these criticisms coming from the media, particularly some of the criticisms coming from the opposition figures. There is no need to reply, because if you know what you are doing, like they say that silent is golden. If you know what you are doing, then focus on what you are doing. Let the results speak for you. All right, let the results speak for you. Demanding Atiku calling on Atiku to provide cost of subsidy if he's elected, and funding details, how he will fund subsidy if he's elected. That is not your business. All right, that is not your business. Okay, that is not your business at all. So focus on your area. Focus on the policy. On the good side of your principal, what he's doing. Focus on it. It is when Atiku gets into office that he will be able to know what is going on. Atiku has been out of government since 2007, for God's sake. It will be over 20 years. It will be nearly 20 years that Atiku left office. So how do you want him, to provide costs of subsidy and the funding details and how subsidy will be funded? It is when this man gets into office, because I know that he has one or two knowledge when it comes to subsidy, when it comes to economy and things like this. But this man is since he left government is 2007, and he has not been in government since then. So how do you expect him to provide a correct and articulate figure, articulate cost and funding details of subsidy? All right, because this has always been, the character of Nigerian leaders. There's before they get into office, they will sugarcoat their words, saying that this is what I'm going to do when I get there. This is what will happen when I get there. And when they eventually get there, what the things they say they will do is directly opposite to what they're doing. All right, is directly opposite to what they're doing. You can never know the actuality of what is going on in government until you get there. Okay, until you get there. When Buhari was saying that he will bring back the kidnapped Chibok girls and restore the economy, fight corruption. When he got there, how many corruption was he able to fight? When Buhari was actually sworn in as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, how many corrupt cases under his administration were, we saw the light of the day? All right, how many corrupt politicians were prosecuted during Muhammadu Buhari's regime? How many corrupt politicians were prosecuted? How many corrupt politicians were arrested? How many corrupt politicians spent, days in detention during Buhari's administration? So let's just say that these people, they are not prepared. It is when they get there they start preparing themselves. That is just how to put it, because if actually they were prepared, the kind of suffering, the kind of hardship Nigerians are going through as a result of removal of subsidy, we wouldn't have been going through this hardship. We wouldn't have been paying triple of what we are paying to buy petrol at filling stations. It is because of their lack of preparedness, that has plunged millions of Nigerians to hardship. It is because of their lack of preparedness, because like they used to say, it is easier said than done. Talk is cheap, but when you get there, that is when you know what is actually going on in government. You don't know what is going on in government until when you get there. So for now, it is not appropriate for the presidency to demand that Atiku provide the cost of how he will be able to continue with the subsidy and fund it, and how subsidy will be funded. It is inappropriate. Yes, Atiku might have one or two ideas on how to do funding, but when he gets there, there's a possibility that things will change, will not be the way he's seeing it, because this man has been out of government since 2007. It is 19 years since Atiku left office. All right, so the presidency should focus on what they are doing. Preach on the good things. Propagate the gospel of your principal's economic policy. That is what you are supposed to do, not attacking. When the opposition criticizes you, you attack them. You are not in office to attack anybody. Okay, you are not in office to attack anybody. Yes, you are meant to defend, the activities of your principal, but it must be defended in a logical manner, in a logical way. All right, in a logical way. So that is that on that. So let's go to the next story. It is 22 minutes gone past the hour of 8 o'clock. This program is being sponsored by Liveback Pharmacy and Stores Limited, marketers of Ogama QS Softgel and Swedish Bitters. This is Overt Radio. This is the breakfast show here on Overt Radio. You can go to our various social media platforms on X, Overt Radio Live, on TikTok, over.radio.lagos, and on Instagram, Overt News. We are currently streaming on YouTube, Overt Radio Live. All right, the second story this morning. Tinubu gives security chiefs 90 days to produce national threat assessment, 5-year defense plan. President Bola Tinubu has given Nigeria's defense, intelligence, and security chiefs 90 days to produce a comprehensive national threat assessment and a 5-year strategic defense operations plan aimed at transforming the country's response to evolving security threats. The directive comes amid persistent security challenges across the country, including kidnapping for ransom, banditry and insurgent attacks, and barely 24 hours after Tinubu ordered security agencies to launch an immediate coordinated operation to rescue victims of the latest mass abduction in Niger State. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, George Akume, disclosed the 90-day deadline on Wednesday while inaugurating the Presidential Committee on National Threat Assessment and 5-year Strategic Defense Operations Plan on behalf of the President. The committee, comprising the National Security Advisor (NSA), Ministers of Defense, service chiefs, and heads of major security and intelligence agencies, is expected to move Nigeria's security architecture from reacting to individual threats to anticipating them, prioritizing risk, and aligning resources with clearly defined national security objectives, charging members to approach the assessment with professionalism, objectivity, urgency, and patriotism. Akume said the two documents must be submitted within 90 days for Tinubu's consideration and approval. Okay, that's quite lengthy. Let me see if I can finish it. All right. The SGF, however, did not indicate whether there would be sanctions or consequences should the committee fail to complete the and submit the document within the stipulated period. The inauguration came a day after Tinubu expressed outrage over the latest mass abduction and killing of a resident in Niger State and ordered the Armed Forces, Nigerian Police Force, Department of State Services, DSS, and other security and intelligence agencies to immediately launch a coordinated rescue operation. In a statement by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president also directed the service chiefs to provide him with regular updates on the rescue operation until all those abducted were accounted for. Tinubu described the perpetrators as enemies of peace and enemies of humanity and vowed that they would not go unpunished. All right, now, in line with what I said yesterday, that the president should go tough, on the service chiefs, the leadership of the security agents, the various leaders of the security agencies that we have in the country, the DSS, the Navy, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian military, the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, the DSS, and other relevant security agencies, which I did said yesterday. This was even before this particular ultimatum was given. Because you are the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Okay, you are the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and it is expected of you that since the things that you that insurgency has not been curbed, there is no reduction in kidnapping, there is no reduction in abduction. People are still being kidnapped while journeying from one place to another. Communities are still being attacked, and innocent lives are still being lost. People are being killed for just no reasons. Innocent Nigerians are being kidnapped from their homes, from their farms, from their community, and despite several directives given by the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, things have not still improved. So yesterday I did said that it is high time that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, should go tough on these security agencies, on the leadership of the various security agencies we have in the country. That the president should go tough on them, give them a lifeline that, hey, within the next 90 days, within the next 3 months, within the next 6 months, I want to see an improvement in the fight against insecurity in this country. And if there's no improvement, heads will have to roll. These were the things I did said yesterday. But our leaders are never serious when it comes to taking action. But what was done yesterday was that the president, has given the security chiefs 90 days to produce national threat assessment. All right, these are just, we have been having assessment all these years. How many of this assessment has been followed to the book, to the letter? How many of these strategies? Because I don't know if things actually work in this country any longer. I don't know, because I remember vividly during the administration of late Muhammadu Buhari, God bless his soul. During the administration of late Muhammadu Buhari, anytime there was an attack, anytime there was an abduction, anytime there were mass killing, particularly in the north or in any part of the country, immediately the president will summon the service chiefs to Aso Rock and have meetings with them. So the things that they discuss, I don't even know what they discuss, because even after meeting with the service chiefs, the same attack will occur. The same number of killings, or even less than the number of those that were killed earlier, will occur. So it is high time. It is high time our security chiefs, get serious with what they are doing. You are not just the chief of defense staff, ceremonially, for ceremonial reasons. You are not just the chief of army staff for ceremonial reasons. You are the chief of army staff. You are the chief of defense staff for a reason, and we should be seeing that post as a chief of defense staff. You are the chief of naval staff for a reason. You are the inspector general of police for a reason, and you should be able to live up to responsibility, to live up to expectations. You are the minister of defense for a reason, and you should be able to start defending the country. There are various security agencies under your control as a minister of defense, and it is expected of you to give a marching orders to these various security agencies under your control. So calling on the service chiefs to provide produce national threat assessments, it won't amount to nothing, because this is not the first time things like this will be this kind of directive will be given to the service chiefs. So are they now telling? Does it mean that since these new service chiefs were appointed, that they don't have plan on how to curb insecurity in the country? Does it mean that since the Minister of Defense was appointed late last year, he does not have a plan, and maybe a 5-point agenda, a 3-point agenda, a 7-point, an 8-point agenda? Does it mean that the Minister of Defense does not have a concrete plan on how to curb insecurity in the country? So why was he appointed as a Minister of Defense? Because when he was appointed, a lot of, like me, I was happy that, we have somebody who just left the army to be appointed as the Minister of Defense, because man, he has been there. Like, he has been in the theater command or whatever sections of posts that they give themselves. So he must have witnessed the activities firsthand during the heat of insurgency when he was in service, while he was in the army. So we were all saying, okay, maybe something can happen under this man's administration. That's Christopher Musa, Honorable Minister of Defense, who was the former Chief of Defense Staff. So we must get serious when an appointment is being given to us. When we are appointed as minister, when we are appointed as governor, we must get serious. It is because of the reason why insecurity still prevails in this country is because of the lack of seriousness by our service chiefs. It's because of the lack of seriousness by the federal government. There is no seriousness in any of them. Because if there had been seriousness in these service chiefs, criminal activities in this country would have been curbed to at least to a drastic level, to a drastic level, to a minimum level. But there is no seriousness in these guys. So they think that yes, when they were appointed as the chief of defense staff, they will decorate them. Is that all? That's not all. You were appointed to solve a problem. There was a problem has been identified. What is that problem? Insecurity. So come together. There are 5 service chiefs, about 4. So come together. Exchange ideas. Exchange ideas. See how countries are doing theirs. See how countries are fighting terrorism in their country. It can be possible. It is possible that insecurity will reduce in this country if we tackle it head on. So, yeah, okay. Now, okay. Well, Tinubu has given them 90 days ultimatum to produce a national threat assessment and a 5-year defense plan. Okay. After 90 days, this is September. Okay, this is August, September, October, November. So by the end of November, we will see. Of course, none of these details will be made public. Totally. There won't be any public disclosure of what of the national threat assessment or their 5-year defense plan. But we hope that whatever they are coming up with should not be something that they've been doing. This recycling strategies, recycling. No. Things have improved in this world. Things have improved. With drones, you can decimate enemy territories with drones. Okay, you can decimate enemy territories with drones now. You don't need human soldiers to invade the enemy zones. You don't need human soldiers. Once you are able to deploy drones to that area, drones that are armed, weaponized drones. You don't need human being to start marching into the Sambisa forest, and you don't need them. If the military personnel cannot physically, march to Sambisa forest, then use drones. Deploy, armed drones. We will do it for you. These are the things we watch on movies, man. Despite the fact that some of the movies are fictional, but they are telling you that it is possible. Anything you watch on movies, it is possible. Yes, about a majority of the action movies that we watch, war movies, the majority of them are fictional, but they are telling you that if we can create this for television, it can be created live. It can be created in reality. All right, it can be created in reality. Go take a look at this seasonal movie, this series, The Lioness. That is counter-terrorism at its core. All right, let's go to the next story. It is 36 minutes gone past the hour of 8 o'clock. We are broadcasting to you live from the city of Lagos. All right, my third story is still on the Sun newspaper. My third story is governors back CNG program to cut transport fares, tackle hardship. Governors back CNG program to cut transport fares and tackle hardship. Let me read the story. The 36 state governors under the Nigeria's Governors Forum, NGF, have thrown their weight behind a proposed National Affordable CNG Transit Program, NACTP, aimed at reducing transportation fares and easing the burden of rising living costs across the country. The governor said the initiative, which is being developed as a state-led program, would leverage the lower operating cost of compressed natural gas CNG and provide cheaper public transportation for Nigerians. The decision was contained in a communique issued at the end of the forum's third meeting held on Wednesday, August 26, and read by Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri. The communique was signed by the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum and Governor of Kwara State, Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak. Under the proposed NACTP, states are expected to support the conversion of vehicle to CNG, provide fleets, and facilitate the development of enabling infrastructure, while participating transport operators would commit to reduce passenger fares. Although the governors did not announce a definite commencement date, they said further work was required to finalize the program's financing and implementation framework. Responding to reporters after the meeting, Diri explained that the initiative was part of the forum's response to the economic pressure created by high transport costs, particularly following the removal of the fuel subsidy. He argued that lowering transport fares could trigger a wider reduction in the cost of goods and services because transportation constitutes a significant component of the cost of moving food and other commodities from one location to another. All right, he said, transportation is key, Diri said, stressing that the cost of moving goods from point A to point B is ultimately reflected in the prices paid by consumers. According to him, reducing transportation costs through the adoption of CNG would therefore have a multiplier effect across several sectors of the economy. The governor noted that gas was cheaper than petrol, making CNG a potentially viable alternative for reducing the cost of operating commercial transport vehicles. The initiative is coming amid persistent concerns over the impact of fuel subsidy and the removal on household incomes on the rising cost of transportation and essential commodities. Okay, he said something there that fuel is that gas is cheaper than fuel. It's almost the same thing. Gas, a kilogram. Okay, yeah, all right. A kilogram of gas is 1,002. A liter of petrol is about 1.3 in some areas, in some part of the country. So, all right. So the governors now, what is the plan? Although it is still in the pipeline, it has not been it has not kicked off yet. Okay, it's still in the pipeline. So I hope that that when this program fully kicks off, that we'll see more of the vehicles on the road, because the federal government the federal government had started this 3 years ago, but I can hardly see. Yes, there are some CNG. Commercial bus around, but it's not. It's just like 0.000001% of all the commercial bus we have in Lagos. All right, of all the commercial bus we have in Lagos. So that was why I was saying earlier that if you want to do something, you must plan before you do it. You must consider the consequences. It has been now that it is, the government should be blamed. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be blamed for the hardship on Nigerians. It should be blamed for the hardship. 3 years after, Nigerians are still suffering, because of that singular act that the president made May 29, 2023. Nigerians are still suffering it. So that is why it is important that you plan, you make plan, you consider the consequences before you take any move, any action. You consider the consequences. It is because they felt that, well, I'm in power now, whatever I say is what will happen, without thinking about the intended consequences. It is because they never thought about, if we remove subsidy, because this subsidy has been what has been cushioning the effect. If we remove subsidy, how long will this, if we remove subsidy, how long, what will be the intended consequences? And the consequences, how long will the people feel, how long will they feel it? They just woke up one morning. I doubt if the president had a plan with his economic team before he made that announcement on May 29. I doubt if the president had a meeting with his economic team before he made that announcement.
And if there were no, if he didn't meet with them, then I think I feel sorry for Nigerians. It is a huge disappointment. It is shameful, that you are making a major economic policy, a major economic decision in the country, and you did not think about the intended consequences. And it is 3 years after that decision was made, we are still suffering it. And now the governors, after 3 years, the governors are now saying that they are backing the CNG program to cut transport fares, to tackle hardship. To cut transport fares and tackle hardship. What you can do to cut transport fares is to ensure that there are more vehicles on the road. There are more mass transit on the roads. There are more mass transit on the road, and also make more refineries available. We cannot depend on Dangote alone. We cannot depend on Dangote alone to provide us, to refine our fuel for us. Make more refineries available. I don't know what is the horriness in removing subsidy. Nigeria will not collapse if subsidy has not been removed. We will not collapse. We have been in subsidy, since 1999. We have been in subsidy. Nigeria will not collapse if we are still running on subsidy. I'm not supporting that subsidy should not be removed, and I'm not supporting that subsidy should be removed. But what I'm saying is that if you want to remove subsidy, put things on ground. Make it, a master plan. The consequences, you must take into consideration the consequences. Now, I was thinking the other day that because this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the people that will benefit more in this administration are transporters. And any transporter, any person who is into transport business, since 2023, and the person's life has not improved. This 2023 to 2027, the person's life has not improved. That means that person is not serious. All right. If you're a transporter and your life has not improved, because every administration will always favor a particular sector of the economy. And if those that are into transport business and their lives have not improved, then I have yourself to blame. Because if I had the opportunity, if I had the enough resources and fund, I would have, acquired, transport buses and start doing transport business. Because this is the time that those in the transport business, this is the time for them to make it big. So, and it will be another opportunity again if the president is re-elected. Because Atiku says he removes subsidy. Oh my God. So the governors have said that, well, they will support the compressed natural gas program. All right, they will support it, and so as to cut transport fares. And the thing is that how many CNGs are they going to put in place? How many CNG stations? How many CNG stations will be in place? Because if you want it to be successful, the number of CNG stations must be proportionate to the number of fuel stations we have in the country, in the states. You can't just wake up one morning and say that you are supporting this program. The number of fuel stations we have in the country must be proportionate to the number of CNG stations that these governors will set up. Okay, at least if you want to make a progress in this CNG, a program. Not that you have 1,000 fuel-enabled commercial bus, then you are now bringing in five CNG-enabled vehicles. Have you solved any problem? The 5 enabled CNG vehicles, how many road will it run? How many bus stop will it cover? What is the efficiency? So I think that they should look at another area. I'm not saying that this will not work, but we know our government, we know the way they do things. Okay, they will set up 5 CNG stations and said, oh, we've kicked off the CNG program. We've kicked it off. And in the five CNG stations, maybe about 3 or 4 will be having regular supply of compressed natural gas. And when a vehicle that is CNG enabled, goes to the CNG stations for refuel, they will tell him, oh God, we don't get CNG, or maybe you come back again. We'll go back to square one. Going back to square one. So if the governors really want to make this work, the CNG stations that will be set up, that will be set up in the country or in their state, must be proportionate to the number of filling stations that are operating. Must be proportionate. And the vehicles, the number of CNG vehicles that will be acquired must be proportionate to the number of petrol enabled commercial buses in the street. So if you want to start a program, do it well. Don't just start it and at the end of the day you won't be able to complete it. Do they know what is required? Do they know how many CNG stations will be required? Do they know how many CNG buses will be needed, to cut transport fares, to tackle hardship? It is 8:49, 49 minutes gone past the hour of 8 o'clock. Let me go to the next story this morning here on Overt Radio. FG targets 7.6 million households as new $1 billion social protection scheme begins. The federal government has launched a $1 billion social protection program targeting about 7.6 million vulnerable households across Nigeria. The initiative, known as Renewed Hope Social Protection Program, was unveiled by First Lady Oluremi Tinubu as part of effort to strengthen government interventions aimed at reducing poverty. One of the key components, the Household Prosperity and Empowerment Social Protection Project, Hope SP, is designed to move vulnerable households beyond temporary financial assistance towards sustainable economic empowerment. Eligible households under the program are expected to receive a one-off digital shock response transfer of 40,000 naira. However, beneficiaries must be registered on the National Social Register and validated with their national identification number. The government is also working with the National Identity Management NIMSI to facilitate NIN registration and improve the verification process. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Bernard Doro, said the program would introduce a more structured approach to poverty reduction by tracking households and assessing their progress. We have a system where we want to deliberately track poverty, Doro said. The program is expected to improve coordination between humanitarian interventions, social protection, and poverty reduction initiative while helping beneficiaries move towards greater financial independence. Okay, so, well, okay, the highlight of this story, okay, let me bring it out. Now, they said one of the key components is the Household Prosperity and Empowerment Social Protection Project. Is designed to move vulnerable households beyond temporary financial assistance towards sustainable economic empowerment. How are they because it is not enough to formulate things, but the practical aspect of it, how would they be able to achieve that? Eligible voters under the program are expected to receive a one-off digital shock response transfer of 40,000 naira. What will 40,000 naira? How can 40,000 naira be able to elevate me if I'm a poor individual, if I'm a vulnerable individual. If you send me 40,000 naira, what will I do with it? If you send me 40,000 naira, what will I do with it? Is it 40,000 naira that I will use as TFE that will finish under 2 weeks, under 10 working days? 40,000 naira that you send to me, although these are vulnerable Nigerians, what will 40,000 naira amount to them? After sending 40,000 naira to them, so is it that the 40,000 naira doesn't finish? Will it be multiplied in their bank account? Will it be multiplied? The most important thing is set up industries, set up factories, make the environment economically viable. Set up industries, set up factories, and employ Nigerians. Is a one-off. So once you send it to them, that's all. And you think that it has solved their problem. Sending 40,000 naira, what will 40,000 naira amount? Does 40,000 naira change you from a poor Nigerian to a millionaire? We like doing things as if, our leaders like doing things as if they are not educated. They like bringing, this is coming from a minister, this is coming from the first lady. They like doing things as if they are not educated. What will 40,000 naira solve? What will 40,000 naira solve? Instead of using that money to set up industries, instead of using that money to bring in the Chinese, train Nigerians on how to couple mobile phones. Bring the Chinese here in the country. They should train Nigerian youth on how to manufacture phone batteries. Bring the Chinese here in the country and should train Nigerian youth on how to manufacture cotton boards. Most of the cotton boards we are using in this country, they are imported. Don't we have cotton in the country? Don't we have cotton plantation? Most of the toothpicks we are using in this country, these toothpicks, they are imported, and we have bamboo plantation. What is wrong with our leaders, for God's sake? What is wrong with our leaders? If you journey through along the Osho, the Apapa Expressway, you see industries folding up. The batteries that we use in this country, most of the batteries are imported batteries. Can't we produce batteries in the country? Can't we produce batteries in the country? Ordinary South Africa, they are the one that are manufacturing this DSTV decoders and the GoTV decoders that are bringing it into the country. Can't a leader, a governor, a minister bring in expertise from South Africa to train Nigerians on how to manufacture decoder, on how to manufacture DSTV dish, on how to manufacture GoTV decoders in the country? Can't we do that? Can't we do these things? Can't we do these things? What is wrong with our leaders, for God's sake? Where is their brain? Can't we have a replica of DSTV in Nigeria? Can't we have a replica of GoTV in Nigeria? I remember those days when Lai Mohammed was the Minister of Information during late Muhammadu Buhari's administration. All right, Lai Mohammed said that Nigeria not have their own free paid TV or whatever. And that program never saw the day of the light because people that are in charge, they don't know what they are doing. We can have our own version of DSTV in the country. We can have our own version of GoTV in Nigeria. We can have our own version. When this person in charge of this person, the owner of Dar Communications, late Dokwesi, started his own DASAT. The federal government never supported him, and so DASAT died. Are people still using Star Times? These are ways to generate employment. When Dr. C started DASAT, AIT, when Dr. C started DASAT, it was never encouraged. These are things that the government need to start supporting those in the private sector. We can manufacture our own Go TV decoder here. We can manufacture our own Go TV, our own DSTV decoders. Every day, if you go to any DSTV shop in this country, in this state, you see cartons of Go TV decoders and Go TV and DSTV decoders being brought into their offices. These are coming from South Africa. We are helping other nations' economy to develop, but yet, imagine a leader saying that he will pay 40,000 naira, and you expect 40,000 naira to solve the poverty problem of a family. How can 40,000 naira solve the poverty problem of a family? How is that possible? Is it a lottery though that they will play with a lottery, or they will put it on sport bet, and when they bet on that particular match, it will multiply the money? I don't understand what is going on in this country, for God's sake. How can 40,000 naira? How can 40,000 naira improve the life of the vulnerable Nigerians? How can it improve the life of vulnerable Nigerians? We have millions of Nigerians who are outside the country, Nigerians who are in overseas, and most of these Nigerian people, they crave for Nigerian food. So why can't we create, a hub whereby this particular hub, they specializes on exporting Nigerian food to overseas? Why can't we create such program for our Nigerian youths, so that those of our people, our brothers and sisters in Canada, in Australia, in Portugal, in Spain, in Italy, in France, those that crave for ogbono soup, those that are craving for egusi, those are craving for crayfish, those that are craving for stockfish, or those stockfish is being brought into the country. Can't we have an establishment? The other day, when this particular governor was still the governor of, I think it was Bayelsa State. Oh, if I stand to be corrected, what's his name? Oh God, this part? That's Ben Ayade, who was a governor. I think he's quite cross, but I can't remember very well. Who started this Indomie? Sorry, I'm just this noodles factory. How is that? Is that noodles? Is that state? Are they still producing noodles as of now? Is that state still producing their own noodles? They also have garment factory. Does that garment factory, is it still in existence? So these are the things that should be supported. Nigerians love noodles. If we have, yes, the manufacturers of noodles in the country, one of the big companies, of course they are trying, but these are the private sectors. But can't we have that in other states in the country? Although some people say noodles is not healthy. Of course, I agree with that. It's not healthy. Eating it all the time, it's not healthy. I remember when the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, with this his cassava flour bread initiative. Where is that cassava flour bread initiative? These are things, let us start using our own farm produce for different value chain in the country. So how can 40,000 naira improve the life of vulnerable Nigerians? What will 40,000 naira do? when a pint of beans is more than 5,000 naira, a pint of rice is more than 5,000 naira, that's 10,000 is gone. All right. The normal bottle of palm oil is around 1,005. That's 75 liters. Is about 1,005. Almost 12,000 is gone. All right. Then you talk of Gary. A pint of Gary is okay. It depends on the color. There's white and there's yellow. A pint of Gary should be around 1,002. Okay, to buy foodstuff alone adequately, about 15,000 is gone from that 40,000 naira. They're not to talk about other ingredients. My God. All right, this is how far I can go this morning. I think I will continue with this discussion by 9:15. Yes, I'll continue with this discussion by 9:15. By FG saying that they will target 7.6 million households as new $1 billion social protection scheme begins. How do you intend to achieve this? How does 40,000 naira, improve the life of vulnerable Nigerians? That is what I'll be talking about this morning by 9:15. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.